everybody, it's Terry here at D-Lab Electronics, and we have another vintage amplifier to repair. This time it's a Gibson 1950s model BR-6. This amp runs a pair of 6V6s. It is in unknown condition. It came to the shop missing a couple tubes. I've already put those in, but I have not applied power. So let's flip it around, take a look at it, and see what we got going on. Alright, so here she is, the Gibson. You can see it's in great cosmetic condition. A little bit of dust on it. Flip her around, see how the back side looks. Get some light on the situation here. So there she is. A little bit of droppings there from maybe a mouse or a spider, I'm not sure. A lot of webs. I found the 6SN7 was missing. All the other tubes were in place. It's got the Gibson speaker, and if you look up inside, you can see the output transformer. So like I said, I have not powered up this amp, but before I do, I want to pull this chassis out and take a look underside. So this is the initial inspection. Just remove the two screws, and that's all that holds this chassis in. So you're seeing it as I am seeing it. Alright? Carefully pull this guy out. Flip her down. And there she is. So it appears as though the filter caps have been changed. And there's some spray orange drops in there. So that's pretty cool. That's going to save me a lot of work if those caps are alright. Power transformer looks nice and clean. So I think it's time to bring her up on a variac very slowly and see what's going on. Alright, so over here we got the variac. Flip him on. Let's cut back over to the Gibson because that's what we really care about. I'm going to bring up the power very slowly. Let's make sure we don't see any flame shooting out of it. So here we go. I'm about at 50 volts right now. It's not drawing much current, so that's good. But at least it's drawing current, so I know the power transformer is live. I'm up to about 80 volts. I'm going to kill the shop lights. Let's see if we can see those tubes coming up. Whoops. So that's interesting. Sounds like a flying saucer just landed. Volume's all the way down. Got a lot of hum. That tube's pretty nasty. I'm guessing it's time to power it down and check those tubes. Well, I've checked the tubes, and that glass 6SJ7 has been replaced. And that seemed to calm her down a bit, but there's still some hum. Take a listen. And I notice that if I tap on this 470K resistor right down here on the 6SJ7 socket, so we either have a rotten connection or that resistor has got an issue. So I'm going to change that out. So upon closer inspection, I found that by hitting this resistor, I was actually interrupting this ground. And if you look at this wire right here, it has never been soldered. So that's why we're getting that sensitivity. So I'm going to get in here and solder that baby up and see if that solves the problem. Alright, so I resoldered the wire. It did not affect the hum. And there's still sensitivity on that wire, which is very strange because I have it soldered well. So now I'm wondering, got some other bad connections on this ground right here. So it appears as though somebody has been in here soldering, and maybe they just didn't do too good of a job. And guess what? That ground feeds that filter cap, so that may also be why we got the hum. So I need to take a close look at those grounds. So it's hard to see, but if you look at the lead right there on that resistor, I'm going to try to get in there. If I move this resistor, you can see this lead moving very freely. So there's all kinds of bad connections on these grounds. So I've resoldered the grounds on this ground lug going to the chassis, and now you can see that sensitivity is gone, and the hum level is much less than what it was. So that was probably causing most of the problems with the amp. So at this point I want to put a signal into it, pop it on the scope, see what it looks like. Alright, here we go. I've got the scope hooked up across the speaker, and here's the initial noise floor. I'm at 0.1 volts per division. You can see she's got a little bit of hum there, but really not that bad, but I will address it. One thing I noticed, this 6v6 right here, watch when I tap on it. Hear that? A little bit of a response there. If you look at the scope, you can see it better. Once again, not bad, because I believe those are the original tubes, right? So let's put some audio into it and see what the sine wave looks like. So here we go. I've got my audio generator piped into it. There's the output signal. Now that wavering that you're seeing on the scope, that's normal because this speaker is not grounded like you would see on a typical guitar amp. I'm actually looking at the floating output of the output transformer. So you'll get a little bit of that, okay? But there's still some interaction with this 6v6 right here. And you can hear the 6SN7 kind of ringing a little bit. So he may have some microphonic issues too. But all in all, this amp is working. So I still notice a lot of hum in the output, which of course we never did really eliminate. And when I drive the amp, she'll break up and I'll hear a lot of hum. Hear it? So I took my scope. I'm going to this first filter cap, comes right off the 5Y3. And take a look at that hum. I am at 5 volts per division. So there's a good 20 to 25 volts of ripple. I really don't think that's normal. And I also noticed when they put in this filter cap, they took both, it's a 2-section cap, they took both leads and paralleled them and put it on that 5Y3, so I'm wondering if it's not the right type filter cap to begin with. So I'm going to check the value, maybe substitute in another one here and see if we can reduce that ripple. Well, once again, I should have checked the obvious. So watch this cap, right? Looser than a goose, and guess what? The ground lug that goes to that cap is also loose. So once again, another terrible ground connection. I'm going to fix that up, and I'm actually going to solder this ground to the chassis so that it's secure, and we'll retest. So I cleaned the metal up, got the ground lug on there, and here comes old Snozzer Get in there, solder that ground lug right to the chassis, and that will eliminate any possibility of this thing loosening up again and causing hum issues. Boom. Alright, the ground's fixed. Flip her back on. See what that does to that ground noise we had, eh? Or lack of ground. Alright, get the scope back in there and take a look at the hum level. I'm putting the scope back on. Still got about 20 volts of ripple. So now I'm wondering, is that cap bad? So for the fun of it, I paralleled in another capacitor. You can see my hum is down to about 10 volts peak to peak. So it did make a big difference. So I'm guessing that this filter cap here is probably leaky, seen better days, so I'm going to go ahead and change that out. Now the other issue is I have nothing going to the input of the amp. Volume's all the way down. Now watch when I turn up the volume. Got a lot of buzz. So we probably still have an issue in here with grounding or possibly a bad resistor. But first I'm going to change out the filter cap, then I'll attack that other buzz issue. Well, once again, check the obvious. I decided why not swap out that 6SJ7 and see if I was getting some noise from it. Now watch. Guess what? That's kind of normal amplifier hum. It's not buzzing anymore. So I had another bad tube. This thing is really the Mr. Obvious amp, isn't it? A successful repair of the little Gibson BR-6. One bad filter cap, a couple noisy tubes, and of course all those grounds that were Mr. Obvious moments. Remember guys, always look for the obvious, save yourself a lot of heartache. In this case, this one got me a little bit, but it's still a fun project. We'll see you again.